Hello, everybody, and welcome to Brooks Knows Baseball 30 Breakdowns in 30 Days. Today is a little bit of a different episode. It's just going to be me doing the Philadelphia Phillies. Today, John will be on the next one when we do the Washington Nationals. But yeah, we'll go ahead and jump right on into it. The Phillies are the reigning NLCS champions. Last year, they finished 87-75, which is third place, so they're the third best team in the NL East, but they did go ahead and make it all the way to the World Series, where they lost 4-2 to the Houston Astros. Before that, it was actually quite a while before they made the playoffs. You'd have to go all the way back to 2011 when they made the NLDS, but they had a pretty nice, decent stretch of from 7 to 11, going to the World Series going to the playoffs every year, and going to the World Series twice, winning one of those in 2008 with Charlie Manuel. But looking back to their history again, you go 1980, they won a World Series. They have been obviously super duper old team. You can go trace them all the way back to the Philadelphia Quakers beginning in 1883. But again, they only have two World Series trophies. Yeah, only two. So all that history, but not that much. I guess not that much winning. So, but we'll take a look at the Phillies now. There's some big offseason spenders. Did get a lot of players, especially one we're really excited about, which we'll jump right on in. So the biggest free agent of the offseason, you'd have to say, is Trey Turner. He did come over from the Los Angeles Dodgers. They did get a backup bench role player, kind of, and Josh Harrison from a free agent from the White Sox. Jake Cave, they claimed him off of waivers, who spent quite a bit of time with the Minnesota Twins organization. He was more of a kind of up and down guy, AAA, major backup role there. He's not going to provide too much on offense, just more of a just a guy, really. And then they did get Taijuan Walker, who I think is going to be a big help for them with that rotation. After Walker, they got Craig Kimbrell from the Los Angeles Dodgers, Gregory Soto from the Detroit Tigers, Matt Strom from the Boston Red Sox, and then they did have a Noah Song on the Rule 5 draft list. So those are the major newcomers this year for the Philadelphia Phillies. But we'll go ahead and take a look real quick at their starting rotation, which I think you got to start with Aaron Nola. Taking a look at Aaron Nola, he is by far and away their ace. He's been with the Phillies since 2014. And if you take a look at his numbers from the previous years, last year he did go over 200 innings, 205 innings, and his ERA was 3.2. So very solid year for him. 11 wins, 13 losses, which may be a little skewed, but he did again 32 game starts, 205 innings. Go back to 21 again, 32 starts, 180 innings. He will pitch a lot. Going back to 18, he had 212 innings, 19, 202 innings. So he is a productive pitcher who will pitch. 2021 kind of looked like it could have been, the start of a downswing to him, but he did rebound quite nicely last year. And then we'll go to Zach Wheeler, who would be our next, probably their number 2 starter with the Phillies. And Zach Wheeler, take a look at him last year. He's originally from the Mets organization where they got him. He had a 2.8 ERA last year in 153 innings, 26 starts, so he missed a little bit of time there. But then you go back to 21, 32 starts, had a 2.78, and then the year before that with the Phillies had a 2.9. So taking a look at him, his ground ball rate's roughly, arguably 50% in the last 3 years with the Phillies. He doesn't give up many home runs. He had a super good WAR his last, 2 years ago, which was just a 7. Not just a 7, it was a 7, which is pretty impressive for a pitcher. But then you look at their number 3 guy, and it's probably going to be Taijuan Walker, who is coming over from the Mets, who used to be a fairly large prospect. Hasn't necessarily panned out too well in the bigs, but in 2020 he did have a 2.7 ERA, obviously very limited time. Last year for the Mets, he did pitch 157 innings, and he had a 3.4 ERA, which is not bad at all. And then we keep going on. We will get to Ranger Suarez, who's an international free agent. He's 27-year-old, about to be 28. And then Bailey Falter, the left-handed 5th starter, which we have a projection as a 5th starter here. Take a look at Bailey Falter last season. Again, he was with the Phillies last season, 84 innings, very limited role, 3.86 ERA. But you look at it in the minors last year, and then in 47 innings at a 1.9 ERA. So he is something to definitely look out for. His fastball is a low 90s. Which is good enough. He's a multi inning relief, is what it says here on the project or the prospect ratings that I'm looking at right now. But we'll see. They do slot him in as the 5th starter this year. But moving on to their bullpen, really quick, we'll take a look. They got Connor Brogdon, Matt Strom, again a free agent, Andrew Bellotti, Gregory Soto, Craig Kimbrell, Jose Alvarado, and then we have Sir Anthony Dominguez. Projects to be their closer. It might be a closer by committee because if take a look at Craig. I keep getting his name wrong. Craig Kimbrell. He is coming over from the Dodgers, where his ERA was a 3.7 last year. In 21 with 2 teams, it was a 2.2. So that again is not bad at all. But he's definitely not the guy that he was, say, in 2013 when he gets 50 saves a year. So we'll see. It's really going to be probably closer by platoon there this year. Taking a look at Sir Anthony Dominguez right now. And again, he was with the Phillies last couple years. He had just a 3 ERA last year, 51 innings, and he did have 9 saves. So who knows what they're going to do with their closer situation with the bullpen. I see their back in rotation or back in bullpen probably being a little bit of an issue for them this year. But we shall see how that goes with those 3 guys. But moving on to their catcher, and arguably their best player is JT Realmuto, who is right now playing for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. JT Realmuto obviously comes over from the Miami Marlins a few seasons ago. Hit .276 last year, the 6.5 WAR. 22 home runs, 84 RBIs, and on the Brooks Knows Baseball page, he is ranked as the number 1 catcher that we do have. And then he's the best catcher in baseball. I don't think there's really much of an argument there. Moving on from him, we go to first base where we have Rhys Hoskins. Rhys Hoskins, I feel like, is a guy who everyone expects to do a lot better than he actually does. He definitely has some power, having 57 home runs over the last 2 years, and very limited time in 21, only playing just over 100 games. Last year he did play 156, so I don't necessarily think his ERA or his durability is something to worry about, but he only hit in the 240s the last 3 years, and then 19 was all the way down to 226 in 160 games, but he definitely has a little bit of pop to him. If he plays the whole season this year, I don't expect his average to really climb anymore. That's what he is. It's what he's always been in the bigs, around a 230 to a 240 guy, but you can possibly talk about getting 25 to potentially 30. He is 30, so that's going to, obviously he's going to be in the downswing of his career. So we'll definitely see what that goes, how that goes there. But going to second base, we have Bryson Stott, who was a first-round draft pick for him. He's not doing necessarily well this spring, only hitting 146, but we do see him projected to be their starting second baseman this year. He's only going to be 25, but looking back last year, 24 years of age, he hit 234 for the Phillies in 127 games. Not good at all. But you look at his minor leagues for previously 2021, he moved up. He went from A-ball, double-A, triple-A in 21, so he moved it very fast. And his average was 288, 301, 303, and he played very limited role there last year in minors. So we're not really even going to count those, but he hit his butt off in the minors. So hopefully he'll kind of settle into that role for the Phillies and then give them something better than a 234, because 234 is just not going to do it for you. I don't necessarily see him having much power apart from, 10 to 15 maybe home runs, but we'll see how that goes for him there, because he didn't have much power in the minors either. But moving on to the Phillies shortstop, we'll go to the Trey Turner, which is someone we can definitely talk about a lot, because Trey Turner, every year he steps onto the field, if he's healthy, which he has been since really 2018, only missing a couple games there, 19. He's an MVP type guy every year. A lot of people don't realize he has sneaky power because you look at him, he's kind of a smaller guy. The last 2 years, he hit 28 home runs 2 years ago for the Nationals and the Dodgers, and last year he hit 21 home runs, but he had 100 RBIs, hit 298 last year, and the year before that 325, year before that 335. So he's definitely arguably one of the better players in baseball. I do see him potentially hitting high 20 home runs this year, probably giving him. I wouldn't be surprised if he has 40 steals this year and hitting around 300. He's definitely going to be a top 5, probably a top 3 MVP vote getter for the entire league this year. He's arguably the best player in baseball. Third base, they got Alec Bohm, who's a former first-round pick for the Phillies. He last year didn't have much power, and I think you'd like to have a lot of power out of that position, but he did hit 280 with 13 home runs, 631 plate appearances last year. He's going into his 4th season. He's 26, so he's right in the middle of that prime there for him. So ideally, you'd like to see his average stay about where it's at, but you definitely see that power go up. He just, for whatever reason, hasn't hit it. I mean, I don't necessarily think he's going to hit it. Be on the lookout for 15-ish home runs for Alec Bohm next year. Moving on to outfield, we got Brandon Marsh, the clean-cut gentleman. And then we have Nick Castellanos, who's a good hitter, and then Kyle Schwarber. Let's go ahead and take a look quickly at Kyle Schwarber, who they did get from, I guess, a litany of teams. He's been in Chicago, he's been on Boston, he's been in the Nationals, and now the Philadelphia Phillies. His average took a nosedive last year. He's never been an average hitter, just hitting 233 for his career, but it was 218 last year. He will be 30. I do not see that coming up. Maybe in the 220s, maybe. He really exploded last year for power. He's always had some good pop, but not 46 home runs, which is kind of odd that he didn't even have 100 RBIs. But I probably see a high 30s home run total for him this year as well. But batting average, I see in the 220s at the best for him. He doesn't really provide much in the field as well. And he just turned 30, so we'll have to take a look at how his regression goes, if there's any at all for him this year. Then we'll go to take a look at Brandon Marsh, who's a youngster who they got from the A's. He's just turned 25, and then last year they did acquire him last year, and for the Philadelphia Phillies, and just a couple games for him last year. He hit really well. But he played 134 games last year, and then he hit 245 last year. So he's a good fielder, but his batting average is below league average. And, career-wise, it just sits at 248. So we'll see how that goes. His power's not great. He only has, his power's not great. So we'll see what that is. Hopefully for him, it does. Raise, which his power should go a little bit higher, but he has had a shoulder injury, so we will see how that shoulder injury, if it comes back to haunt him. And then obviously the final outfielder that we do have is Nick Castellanos, who's really become more of a meme lately, but he has sneaky good power, and he's probably going to be about a 260 hitter. Let's say around 20 home runs for him. So the Phillies, I do think offensively, they're going to get a huge burst in the middle of the season, which I know a lot of people are overlooking right now. And he had Tommy John surgery, which is very odd for a guy who plays outfield. But the 2-time MVP Bryce Harper, taking a look at Harper last year, he didn't even play 100 games, unfortunately for him, but he hit 286. The year before that, in 141 games, his MVP season, he hit 309, 35 home runs, 101 RBIs. He's a guy who's going to be a danger hit, high 30s, low 40s, maybe low 40s, probably more so high 30s, but he's going to be a 280 to a 295 hitter. And he should have around 85 to 100 RBIs on any given season. Not this year, however, because he's just going to hopefully come back at the All-Star break because of his injuries. But when you got him going, there's very few players in the bigs that are much better than him. So I do think the Phillies are going to be, I think they're going to be a playoff team this year. But I also think that their back end pitching staff is going to be their biggest issue. I think obviously Aaron Nola is going to be good. Taijuan Walker is going to be solid. But where's the rest of their pitching at? And I think their bullpen's going to be a little weak as well. I do have them going 87 and 75 this year. And I do have them being the final wild card seed, so I do have them going into the playoffs. I don't have them necessarily going too far in the playoffs, however, but we'll see. Maybe I could be wrong on there, but we'll take a look at their prospects really quick. They don't have much. They are ranked the 26th best prospect farm system in baseball. Taking a look at their rankings, Andrew Painter is a 19-year-old in Double-A. Mick Abel, Griff McGarry, Justin Crawford, and Hao Yu Lee. All those guys are, apart from Griff McGarry, are younger gentlemen who we'll see. But looking at Andrew Payne real quick, I think he's going to be someone who's good. He's 6'7", 215 pounds. So, he's going to be I think Andrew Payne is going to be a very solid player for the Phillies. Last year he did pitch for 3 teams, went from low A all the way to Double-A, and just had a 1.56 ERA. So he's the one I'm most excited to see for the Phillies in their upcoming years. But taking a look at let me see here if I can get to it quickly. The top 100, let me move this camera over. The top 100 prospects, it's just Andrew Painter, who's actually number 6, so he's really rated high. And then you got Mick Abel, who is a Double-A right-handed pitcher. Last year had a 3.9 ERA and a high A in Double-A. We'll see how he progresses, a former first-round pick as well. So with the Phillies, their farm system, if those 2 pitchers come up, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if both of them have a chance this year to at least touch the bigs. I'm not seeing how impactful they'll be, depending on injury status. But if they work out and they are able to come up this year, I think the Phillies can have a much better year than I'm predicting. So I guess we'll go ahead and see how that works for them. But they could definitely use some help with the offense, because I do think a couple of their guys are getting a little bit older. Harper, I know Harper's going to be there forever. But he's on the wrong side of 30. Schwarber's on the wrong side of 30. Hoskins is on the wrong side of 30. Real Muto, Nick Castellanos. And then Trey Turner's going to be 30 this year. So their first, 5 guys are going to be over 30 this year. So we'll see if there's any regression there. But they're an older team, and I do not think they're the best, probably not even the second best team in that division. So I do think they're still a playoff team, however. But time will tell. So, with that being said, that is our predictions for the Philadelphia Phillies. Again, 87 wins this year is what we're seeing, in a wild card spot as well, but not going necessarily too far into the playoffs. But today's episode is brought to you by Kaiser Gets Crafty, which will be on our website as well, or the Etsy page as well. So feel free to give them a shot, give them some orders, some shout outs, anything like that you guys would like. Like our page, share it, subscribe to it, let us know how we're doing. If you think we suck, let us know so we can change anything. But today, again, the Philadelphia Phillies. Tomorrow we're going to be doing the Washington Nationals, and they'll be the final team of the NL East. So make sure to stick by, take a watch, and let us know. But without further ado, let us do the sign off here. This has been Brooks Knows Baseball. Have a good night, and thanks for watching. Bye.